Hey there, this is Matt from Reality Redefined. I'm just checking in here. I'm actually just taking a little walk just to have a little bit of time for myself. But I was thinking this morning and I wanted to record this for you because one of the things that I've been thinking of and really comparing the idea of starting a business uh, is really interesting because when you first think about going after and starting a business, and especially when it's something that you've never done before, especially something that it's not familiar, it's not something that you hear talking about, especially in a traditional world and a traditional economy where people will go to school, get a job, stay in a safe, secure job until they retire. You don't hear the idea of how to start a business a whole lot, right? You don't hear that idea, and you don't hear or explain what are the steps to get there, and what do you need to do to get there, and what you need to consider, and things like that. And a lot of times, it's a lot about, well, okay, which career do you want, which job did you want, and then how do you get there, right? So what it made me think is that it made me think that going and start a business, it's kind of like going to post-secondary school. It's kind of like deciding that you're going to go to college or university, and you're going through that whole process to get that end goal, which is to have that business, to have that career, really, right? So when you're going to college or university, it's going through that whole process of investing in your education, going through the process of getting the education, going through the tests, doing all that work, all that, all those all-nighters, all that effort of having to complete those projects or to studying to those exams, and really spending so much time, like 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, without actually making any money, but actually more spending money, because what you're doing is that you're investing in your education that will allow you to have that degree, or to have that master's, or have that final certificate that will allow you to get into the job market, to get you that job, so that you can then start making that money back and then start paying those loans that you've taken, right? Because a lot of times we need to take loans in order to go to school, to go to college or university. I mean, that was the case for me. I had a bit of money saved, but most of it was money that was borrowed. So when you think about going through the process of building a business, it's kind of like the same process, right? And you first start, when you go into college or university, you start thinking, okay, well, what kind of education you want, what kind of career do you want, what kind of investment is that required in order to get that education, how much time will it take to get there? And then when you know that this is what you want in the end, which is that particular career or that job that education will allow you to achieve, well, you're willing to make that effort, you're willing to make that sacrifice to get that loan, to spend all that time, to invest all your time without actually making any money back, just so that you can get that certificate that will allow you to have that job, in order for later on pay for that investment that you made, right? Which is investing in your education. And then, once you've thought about everything there, then you have to go through the process. You go to school, you got to go through all those, like I was talking about earlier. And then once you've achieved that, then you can go and get a career and get a job. When you compare it to starting a business, especially when you've never done this before, just such as myself, like, I mean, I've never built a business before until now, and it's kind of like the same process, right? Like, at first I was considering what I wanted to do with my life. What is it, that the end goal that I wanted? Then I discovered that, hey, I could go into business, and then I discovered an education that will allow me to have a business, to be able to run a business. And then at the same time, I started to consider, okay, well, what kind of business are there out there? Because really, you can choose all sorts of different business that you want, and hopefully, I mean, you choose the one that's right for you, for your lifestyle, and for the income that you're expecting. and also something that you're going to be passionate about, right? So when I started to go through that whole process, I started to think about, okay, well, what can I do? What kind of business can I have? So basically that end goal that I want, or when we compare it to college or university, what is that job or that career that I want in the end, right? So really what I discovered is I wanted to have an online business that I love and something that I would enjoy, and I would be able to help others, and I would be able to do something that I'm excited about, but at the same time, allow to have that time and that flexibility and freedom, that I don't have to trade all my time for money. Because I considered traditional businesses, I considered franchises, and I just found that if I was going to invest into that, yeah, I would invest in that business, invest in that education, but in the end, I would essentially just buy myself a job, which I didn't see any sort of value to me anyways. I wanted to have that flexibility and freedom, that I can go anywhere, or I can be anywhere that I need to be, or that I have that flexibility that I don't have to be there all the time. So I start to consider all those things. And then when you go through that process and you decide what is the end goal that you want, so let's say for me, the example, and probably the reason why you're here as well, is that you want to have an online business. So when I knew that that's what I wanted, and I wanted to have a successful business that will earn me six figures a year, personally, but also, in the business, and I knew that I wanted to have an online business, I started to find what are some of the educations that are out there. Then I found this education that I'm part of, that I've invested in, so that I can learn how to start an online business, and how to build a business, and how to maintain an online business as well too. And so that was an investment. Then you have to go through the whole process. So when you have an online business or any type of business, you got to go through a certain process before you start making an income, just like I'm in school, right? You invest in your education, or you invest in business, you invest in your education in your business, because you got to invest money in buying certain things that you need, softwares, programs, things that will allow you to be able to do business and conduct business online. Or if it's a traditional business, well, you got to invest in a building, you got to invest in inventory. So it's kind of like investing, going to school. Same thing, you're investing money in your education so that you can have that outcome in the end, right? So when you're thinking about business, you got to go through that same process, right? Not the same thing, but you got to work towards that same process, so that you can achieve, so that you can start making an income and start paying back those debts. Same thing as going to school. So for 6 months to a year to 2 years, there's going to be a lot of work that's going to be involved in there. And you know what, that could be longer too. Like, I mean, it all depends on how you are, how dedicated you are, how bad you want it, how you're committed you are to this. Some may take a few months to achieve their goals, some may take 6, some may take a month, some a year, sorry, some may take 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may take. However, when we have that end goal, we know that we're going to do whatever it takes to get there. I know that you're that style, and so it's just to say that you need to go through that process, or there's going to be a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of time involved at the beginning to invest in there. You're going to have to commit to the business. You're going to have to be consistent. You're going to have to learn, and you're going to have to learn from your mistakes as well too. Like, I mean, in school, we don't always do perfect, right? We may have certain tests that we're gonna rock it, and certain other tests that we're gonna fail. And you know what, that's how we learn, and we're gonna learn from those mistakes, and we're just gonna become that much better, because we're focused for that end goal, which is having that successful online business, such as going to school, which is having that degree, so that allow you to have that job to successfully land that career. And then you're focused through that whole process in order to get to that end goal. So that's what I wanted to say, is that when you start out a business, and especially when it's going out the first time, one way to look at it is exactly like I just explained, is compare it to like you're going back to college or university, and that you need to invest in your education, and that you need to go through the process in order to get there. I mean, in education, usually there is a certain parameters and there usually a certain amount of time that traditionally people would go through to pass the course. Some may take longer because some have a harder time to learn, or some takes them longer, or they have different circumstances, or they have situation that occurs that gets in the way that uh, just prevents them from achieving it in the same amount of time as everybody else, which is fine. I mean, it's completely fine. Everybody's journey is different through school and through business. It's the exact same thing. So it's just a way to really look at it, and a perspective to have to look at it is that it's like if you would go back to school, that you would need to invest in your education, invest in your business, and then go through the process doing the work and following the steps, because that education is going to give you those steps. Same education that I invested in gave me those steps to allow me to achieve that end goal. So that's what I'm working towards to. And if this is something that interests you, this is something that you've been thinking about, I mean, this is an education that you need to invest in. And if you're serious about it and you're committed to achieving that lifestyle and achieving what is it that you want to achieve with a digital business, then this is the right system for you, because this allows you to give you every step of the way so that you're not wasting time just having to jump all over the place, all over the internet, doing all sorts of different things and just spinning your wheels. I mean, they're going to give you every step of the way. As long as you're following those steps and you're willing to make all the work and invest the time in it, and that you're willing to follow each of the step, you're going to achieve the same thing that many people has achieved in the community. So thanks for checking this. Hopefully that this perspective enlightens you in a different way about, you know, how you, if you're considering to start a business, and hopefully that can help you redefine your reality, because this is what it's all about. Thanks for checking in. I'll catch you next time. Cheers.